One non-gene test for cancer is the colonoscopy. That's where a flexible endoscope is passed into the large bowel, looking for precancerous polyps or other rectifiable problems. According to the Australian Commission on Safety and Quality in Healthcare, nearly 1 million colonoscopies are done each year in Australia. But your chances of having one vary by up to 30-fold, which suggests that some people are having the test without needing it and maybe others are missing out. That's why the Commission is trying to even out the unacceptable variation by creating national standards for colonoscopy, including the most popular aspect of the procedure, bowel preparation. Making a return visit to the Health Report is the Safety and Quality Commission's Clinical Director, Professor Anne Duggan, who's also a gastroenterologist, one of the specialties which performs colonoscopies. Welcome back to the Health Report, Anne.
Thank you, Norman.
Just need a permanent seat here, I think. So what's wrong with the way colonoscopies are done at the moment?
Well, we know a lot about how we should be doing it, and we know it's not consistently being done the way the evidence says it should be. We know that people who see their GP may not actually be assessed according to the guidelines, and we've got NH and MRC endorsed screening and surveillance guidelines that the Cancer Council has done. We know that people come up referred to the specialist and they may not have a quality referral, so the specialist is left with a situation where they don't know what the last colonoscopy report said, they don't know what the patient's current medications are, they don't know what their comorbidities are, so there's risks there for the patient. And it goes on, and that's in terms of the timing. If we don't follow guidelines, people can have their colonoscopy far too early, or people can have a colonoscopy when they in fact don't have a big risk. So unless people understand and are informed of the risks and benefits, then there's a real possibility of people having a procedure which is likely to lead to more risk than benefit.
Now, we haven't got time to go through the whole thing, but the indications are important because it's a bit similar to Judy's story a moment ago, which is that really if you're going to have a colonoscopy, so first is you do the bowel cancer screening test, which everybody should be doing over the age of 50 every 2 years.
And only 40% of people are doing it.
And that's a bit high, but yeah, I think it's even less than that, but that nonetheless. So if that comes up positive, then you get referred for consideration for colonoscopy, and then there's a whole issue around waiting times for that. And then if you have got a family history of colon cancer, a strong family history, then bowel cancer screening is not for you, or you have symptoms, then, or like rectal bleeding, then those are the other people who should be going for colonoscopy. Yes. Is that right?
That's right. If you've got a strong family history of young people or a strong family history of cancers, because Lynch syndrome is not just bowel cancer, then you should be screened according to the guidelines for your category of patient. And if you've got symptoms, you should have colonoscopy. Yep.
So let's say you come up positive in the bowel cancer screening program. Have you got a guideline in the standard about how long you should wait and be on the waiting list for it?
Well, we're saying 120 days. Because that's what the guidelines, the NH and MRC endorsed guidelines are saying. We know that's...
Some people wait a year.
Well, yep. I think if we really seriously put these standards in place, we will be able to prioritise appropriately, and I think we'll see a huge difference in our waiting lists. And also, we might even also look at our gastroscopies and start wondering why we've got mixed lists with people having gastroscopies when, in fact, the likelihood of finding a cancer is maybe 8 times more likely in the colon than it is in the upper gut.
So, clean the gastroscope and use it. Sorry, no, I'm a bit disgusting now. So everybody's hanging on here because, colonoscopies replaced mortgages as the discussion around the dinner table. Tell us about bowel prep. What's the story about bowel prep?
Well, I think it's a really important point that not all colonoscopies are created equal. If you have a colonoscopy where the bowel prep's not good and so the colonoscopist can't see the bowel, then lesions are going to be missed. Likewise, if the colonoscopist is not up to date with how to detect polyps and how to remove polyps completely, then the colonoscopy outcome is not great for you either. So, and I'd go back to the previous point about waiting lists. If you're having suboptimal prep, then you have to have a repeat colonoscopy. That really mucks up the waiting list. Good prep, there's good guidelines, but we need to be talking to people through the prep, what not to have in the week before, how to take the prep, what to do with their medications. There's evidence now about splitting prep, so you have half of it, or two out of 3 the night before, and you have your third one 3 to 6 hours before your next procedure.
I'm getting colic just listening to you talking. And do we know the percentage of the population has a proper prep?
No, it'd be a very interesting study to do.
But you're assuming then that there's unacceptable variation. And
Yeah, we all know anecdotally, and we see on our lists every time we see patients who haven't got good prep. The important thing from the standards is we've now said it's an indicator. We're now going to measure the percentage of colonoscopist procedures where the prep is inadequate. And to be recertified, you have to meet the benchmark for both polyp detection in those over 50, in bowel prep, and getting all the way around the colon. So we will get better.
This is a bit like assessing radiologists when they look at mammograms and mammographic screening. You constantly assess the man or woman, the doctor doing the colonoscopy, to make sure they're detecting at the rate you would expect.
Yes, yeah. And so if that means then that people are having across the country are having a high quality colonoscopy. They don't have to repeat it because of bad prep. They don't have to repeat it because there's a chance that the person did it all too quickly and missed it, or that the person didn't know how to take off the polyp and left some of it. So I think that it will make a big difference, and it's welcomed by, as you know, the Gastroenterology Society, the Conjoint Committee, has been doing this voluntarily to make sure people keep up to date with the skills.
Just finally, any evidence that it's better in the private sector?
No, I'm not aware at all.
And thanks for joining us. If a listener wants to know more and they're about to have a colonoscopy and want to check out compare their colonoscopy to the standards, are they widely available on the website?
Absolutely. You've got 9 statements, and there's a bit for each consumer about each stage for them to know what they should be asking, what they should be thinking about, what they should be checking on. Absolutely.
And thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Professor Anne Duggan is Clinical Director of the Australian Commission on Safety and Quality in Healthcare, and we'll have the link to that standard on our website. Radio National listeners are really into colonoscopy, I know.